The only sound in the room is the low, annoying hum of a flickering fluorescent light. It's 3:14 a.m. You are sitting at a desk with a cold, half-eaten container of noodles next to your laptop. You didn't stay late because you're chasing a dream. You stayed late because you had to. Your back is stiff, your neck aches, and your phone hasn't buzzed in hours because everyone you know is asleep. You just gave 14 hours of your life to a company that views you as a replaceable part. You aren't building a future, you are just a single line of code in someone else's master script. Most people think getting rich is like climbing a ladder where every step is the same. They think if they just work harder or save 10% of their paycheck, they will eventually reach the top. But they are wrong. Wealth isn't a ladder, it's a series of locked rooms, and most people don't even have the keys to the first door. Moving from the bottom to the very top isn't about buying the dip or basic budgeting advice. It's about understanding the hidden architecture of the system, the rules that the people at the top use to stay there. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the 10 levels of the wealth hierarchy. We're going to show you exactly where you are standing right now and the brutal price you have to pay if you want to enter the next room. You might realize that being a millionaire is actually the smallest part of the game. At level 1, you are what the system calls a unit of production. It doesn't matter if you are wearing a suit as a junior analyst or a green apron as a barista, the math is exactly the same. You are trading 1 hour of your life for one set amount of dollars. This is the grunt phase, where you are a tool used to build someone else's tower. You have zero leverage. If you stop moving, the money stops flowing. At this level, you are so far away from the real decisions that you don't even know who owns the building you work in. You are just a name on a schedule, a gear in a machine that will keep turning whether you are there or not. Eventually, you work hard enough to reach level 2, the observer. You get a better title and maybe a small raise, but the hours don't get any shorter. In fact, they usually get longer. The difference now is that you are finally in the room. You're the one sitting in the corner during the big meetings, taking notes for the vice president or organizing the spreadsheets that show millions of dollars moving around. But don't get confused, being in the room is not the same as having power. You have a front row seat to the game, but you aren't a player yet. You have no voice. You see the wealth, you see the private jets on the calendar, and you see the massive deals being signed, but you can't touch any of it. You are essentially a tourist in a gold mine. You can see the gold everywhere, but your pockets are still empty, and you are still just watching the people who actually own the mine decide your future. You've moved closer to the heat, but you're still standing out in the cold. By the time you reach level 3, the manual labor starts to disappear, and you move into the phase of implementation. You aren't the one making the coffee or typing the basic data anymore. Instead, you are the one running the deals. You are managing a team of people or overseeing a large amount of capital. This is where you first feel the power of leverage. You realize that you can get much more done by using other people's time or the company's money than you ever could by working alone. You feel like you are finally becoming a player in the game, but the higher you climb, the more the air begins to change. This leads you directly into level 4, where you become a true operator. This is the stage of the gray zone. Up until now, wealth seemed like a simple reward for hard work. But now, you are close enough to see how the system really functions behind closed doors. You start to see how the sausage is made, and it isn't always pretty. You realize that reaching the next level of wealth often requires difficult moral compromises. You might have to fire 100 good people to make a spreadsheet look better, or push a deal through that you know isn't quite right. Your life at this stage is a constant 80-hour work week. While your friends are talking about basic budgeting tips or saving a few dollars on groceries, you are operating on a totally different planet. They wouldn't understand the pressure of having millions of dollars resting on your shoulders or the late-night phone calls that decide the fate of entire departments. You are no longer just a worker, you are a person who makes the machine run, and you are starting to realize that the higher you go, the more of yourself you have to give away just to stay in the game. When you cross the threshold into level 5, a strange thing happens. You stop working in the way most people understand it. You aren't typing reports, and you aren't managing daily tasks. You have entered the stage of the decision maker. At this level, your value to the world isn't based on how much you can produce or how many hours you sit at a desk. Your value is now based entirely on your judgment. People pay you for your yes or your no. One single decision you make in a 5-minute meeting can be worth more than a year of labor at level 1. It's a shift from doing the work to being the brain that guides the work. But this new power comes with a very heavy leash. This is what insiders call Sunday night phone call wealth. You are now on a very short list of people who are trusted to handle the biggest problems. When something goes wrong in the middle of the night or during a holiday, your phone is the one that rings. You are the person who makes problems disappear. You have high-level access to the most powerful people and the most secret information, but there is a catch. You quickly realize that your life is no longer your own. Because your judgment is so valuable, the firm or the fund feels like they own your brain 24 hours a day. You might be sitting on a private beach, but you are still staring at your phone, waiting for the next crisis that only you can solve. You have reached a level of wealth that most people can only dream of, but you've traded your freedom to get there. You are no longer a gear in the machine, you are the one steering it, but you are locked in the driver's seat with no way to get out. At level 6, you become the architect. You have moved so high up that you no longer see individual people, you only see the map. You deploy millions of dollars the same way a general deploys troops across a battlefield. When you make a move, things happen thousands of miles away. Factories open or close, and entire neighborhoods change, but you aren't there to see it. You don't meet the employees or the customers whose lives are changed by your pen. To you, they aren't faces anymore, they are just points moving on a digital board. You are playing a game of numbers, and your only goal is to make sure the system stays under your control. Then you reach level 7, the sovereign. This is the point where you have completely bypassed being a millionaire. In fact, being a millionaire at this level feels like small change. At level 7, you don't just work within the infrastructure of society, you own it. You own the energy companies, the shipping lanes, or the platforms that everyone else uses to do their jobs. You have stopped working for the system because you have actually become the system. This is what experts call exit velocity. You have gained so much speed and power that the normal rules of gravity no longer apply to you. You don't worry about the stock market crashing or the economy changing because you are the one who owns the pieces of the puzzle. You have reached a state of independence that 99% of the world will never understand. You aren't just rich, you are a part of the world's foundation. You are finally free from the daily grind, but you are now operating at a level where every move you make ripples through the lives of millions of people you will never meet. As you enter level 8, you transition from a person into a legend. You are no longer just a successful business owner, your name becomes a shorthand for a specific kind of victory. People talk about you in the same way they talk about the famous Golden Age founders from history books. Young entrepreneurs study your old interviews like they are sacred texts, trying to find the secret to your power. At this stage, your reputation does the work before you even enter a room. You have moved beyond mere money and into the realm of myth, where your story is more powerful than your bank account. This leads you to level 9, the institutionalist. At this height, you stop thinking about the next few months or even the next few years. You start thinking in centuries. Your wealth is no longer sitting in a simple bank account, it is woven into the very fabric of society through massive foundations, permanent trusts, and deep political influence. You are no longer just a wealthy individual, you are a pillar of the global economy. If you were to disappear tomorrow, the system would shake because so many things depend on your capital. You spend your time talking to world leaders and shaping laws that will affect the next 3 generations. You aren't just playing the game anymore, you are helping to write the rulebook for the future. You have reached a level where your money is meant to outlive your great-grandchildren, and your primary job is to make sure your influence stays alive long after you are gone. You have become a permanent part of the world's architecture. Finally, you reach the ultimate peak, level 10, also known as the ghost. At this stage, you have moved completely beyond fame. While people at the lower levels dream of having their names on buildings or being seen on the news, you have realized that true power is quiet. The most powerful people in the world don't want to be known at all. This is the level of invisible wealth. You aren't on the lists of the richest people in magazines because your money is hidden behind layers and layers of privacy. You have achieved something that almost no one else can buy: total anonymity combined with total control. Your life is run by family offices that are so large they have their own family offices to manage them. You don't sign papers, you don't attend public meetings, and you don't have to explain your choices to anyone. You can move billions of dollars across the globe with a single whispered word, and the public will never know it was you. You have become like a ghost in the machine, someone who influences everything but is seen by no one. You have reached the end of the journey, where you have all the power of a king but none of the targets on your back. You are finally invisible, and in this system, being invisible is the highest form of victory. But every locked room you enter comes with a price that isn't listed on a balance sheet. This is the hidden tax of the wealth hierarchy. As you climb from the bottom to the top, you aren't just gaining money and power, you are making a human exchange. For every new level of control you achieve, you have to trade away a piece of your humanity. By the time you reach the upper floors, you realize that the climb has changed you in ways you didn't expect when you were just a worker sitting under those flickering office lights. The list of what you lose is long and painful. First, your privacy disappears. Even before you become a ghost, your life is picked apart by lawyers, competitors, and the public. Next, you lose the ability to truly trust the people around you. When you have reached level 7 or 8, you can never be sure if someone likes you for who you are or because of what you can do for them. Genuine friendship becomes a luxury you can no longer afford because everyone has an agenda. Perhaps the saddest part of the trade-off is what happens at home. Your children might grow up in beautiful mansions, but they often grow up knowing your brand or your public image better than they know your actual heart. You were so busy building the system that you weren't there for the small moments that actually make a life feel real. You have all the gold in the world, but you are standing in a very quiet, very lonely room. As you look out over the empire you built, you have to ask yourself the hardest question of all: is the view from the top actually worth everything you had to leave behind to get there? The truth is that the machine never stops. It doesn't matter if you reach the top or get stuck in the middle, the system is designed to keep you climbing. It needs your energy, your time, and your ambition to stay alive. It feeds on the hope that if you just work a little harder or get one more promotion, you will finally feel like you've made it. But the machine doesn't care about your happiness or your freedom. It only needs fuel, and in this world, that fuel is you. As you finish watching this, the cycle is already starting again. Somewhere right now, a 23-year-old is sitting in a dark office at 3 a.m. They are staring at a computer screen with bloodshot eyes and drinking a cup of cold, bitter coffee. They feel that same ache in their back that you once felt. They are telling themselves that they are different, that they are the one who will finally beat the game and reach the top without losing their soul. They think they are the player, but they don't realize they are still just a part of the architecture. Now that you can see the whole map, you have a choice to make. You can see the locked rooms, the hidden costs, and the way the hierarchy is built to trap you. You have to decide if you are going to keep being a tool used by someone else's system, or if you are going to take what you've learned and start building your own. The game is always running, and the doors are always waiting. The only question left is, knowing what it really costs, do you still want to go inside?